From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Paul Peck, along with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky, and welcome to this special edition of Beat the Champ. We have had a lot of fun over the last 5 years, taking this sport to another level, seeing all the outstanding bowlers in Western New York, and seeing the reaction from the bowling community has been great as well.
Absolutely. There's so many great bowlers in this community that don't do this for a living, but still come out here and perform on the weekends as if they do it for a living. And, and as far as the community goes, I get so much input from everyone, and we have seen so many great matches throughout the years that it's fun to actually look back and see a couple of them from time to time.
All right, so here we go. It's the best of Beat the Champ.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with our first contender today, Curtis Foss. I've seen you out here before. Lanes are a little bit challenging. What did you think about qualifying here?
It was a little bit tougher than last year when I was here, but I found once I got into my spot, I found that I had a really good shot, and it worked well for me. So.
And how was practice today going for you?
It was good, but I've heard that the practice pair is a lot different than the TV pair. So.
Absolutely. So you're taking on Joe Pohlman. Have you bowled him before?
Never really head-to-head, but I bowled with him a whole bunch, so it'll be fun.
All right, a friendly match.
Yeah.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm here with our returning champion today, Joe Pohlman. Very emotional match, a lot going on, taking on Gary Kadian on the streak that he was at. So how do you feel right now?
I'm a little more relaxed now. Obviously, get one win under your belt, you feel better. Curtis is tough. I'm not looking forward to this match, but hopefully I'll make better shots this time and come out on top.
All right, well, perfectly said, because, coming from a match a week like you had last week, I think anything can happen, but it's good to hear that you're relaxed and, we don't want to see the Sandy flop now, do we?
No, we definitely do not want to see the Sandy flop.
All right, good luck to you today.
Thank you.
Pohlman versus Foss to get things started here, week number 2 at Manor Lanes in Amherst, and Joe Pohlman, who is our returning champion thanks to his win over Gary Kadian 245 to 203, will start things off for us here in match number 1. This is Joe's 10th appearance on Beat the Champ, Sue, and he has improved his record now to 8 wins and 6 losses. And starts with a strike. And now we slide it over to Curtis Foss, 30 years old, from Medina, New York, making his 3rd appearance on Beat the Champ, 1 win and 2 losses overall. Last time we saw Curtis was at Island Lanes on Grand Island a little bit earlier in 2017. And he starts with a strike.
Now, Curtis is the first player that we've had out there that his nature is to open up the lane. Everybody that we've had up to this point have been very down and in players, and players that can get in and just ride that oil line. Where Curtis, if you watch his swing, which we'll talk about as he bowls, he's got a very inside-out swing. Pushes in, goes around his back, comes back out. He comes through it clean, but he opens up the lane more. So he'll be a little different approach to the lane.
And you got a glimpse at the 3rd member of our broadcast crew here, the man who literally opens up the lanes here at Manor 2. It is the proprietor of Manor 2 Lanes, our buddy Jim Russo.
I don't need any bowling ability.
You just need the key, that's all. So Jim's going to hang out with us here for our 2nd show, which has some great bowlers ready to go. But always good to see you. How things in the world of Russo lately?
Everything is moving along swimmingly. As we get into the month of June, where our summer leagues are underway. We've got a lot of great things happening. Unlike Joe, who just
that's not a great thing that just happened.
That's not a great thing that happened to him.
No, you saw the split that he has to deal with here in the 2nd frame. So an early challenge for Joe Pohlman to try to figure that out as you get your first look at Janelle Sabin and the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Ram scoreboard. Let's see what Joe does with this. And he'll get 1, and that'll be an open in number 2 for Joe Pohlman.
Even though Joe came out with the win last week, he's been fighting it a little bit. And, He had a couple trip twos. He had a Brooklyn. Didn't start out here in the first frame exactly the way he would have liked to. Another, missed to the left. So he's fighting a little bit. And we know we've seen bowlers have to get a couple breaks in order to win, but he's got his work cut out for him this time.
Very deep in the lane on the setup for Joe Pohlman.
Great shot.
And it didn't seem to make a difference. It helped him get a strike in the third. And now we go back over to Curtis Foss, who has had strikes in the first 2 frames here. You get an early look at the scoreboard. Good cheering section on hand here for Curtis. His mom, Sue, his grandmother, Kathy, sister Cassie, and Uncle Jim all here at Manor 2 cheering on Curtis Foss.
Did you see that average of 240? That is
pretty amazing.
That's a lot of strikes.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
10th show appearance for Joe Pohlman. 8 wins, 6 losses overall. Looking to continue to add to that if he can with a win here.
Again, we say anything can happen. He's going to need them all to put some pressure on Curtis, but he still can.
And he starts with a strike in the 8th frame.
There's a typical bowler reaction. It was a strike, but it wasn't a good enough strike. He's not happy.
The good ones are never happy, are they, right?
No, it's got to be perfect. Got to be in the 1-3 pocket, 10 in the pit. Otherwise, you get that shaking head.
So there's Janelle and the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard laying it out here. As Sue said, Joe's got to keep striking to try to take advantage of that opening that Curtis gave him in the 8th frame. So here's number 9 for Joe on lane 5. Yeah, I don't think he liked it, Sue. He seemed to want to turn his head away that he missed that 1-3 pocket, but the results were there.
You know what? I'm with the bowler on this one. That I know it's not a beauty contest and they don't have to be beautiful, but we don't want to do that. So
I want to do that.
I was going to say, who cares how you do it?
But it's hard to adjust off that because you always want to adjust for the 1-3 pocket, and now you're looking at a little adjustment isn't good. You're gonna need a big adjustment.
Yeah, and again, Curtis is struggling a bit here now with kind of missed the pocket there as well too. Leaves himself 2 pins on the right side, so he'll need this for a 9th frame spare as he's watching Joe Pohlman get some lucky breaks on the other side.
Well, what happens here is big. Not striking in this spot really forces him to have to double on lane 5 to put this match away after he started with the first 5.
And he only gets 1 of the 2. So it's back-to-back open frames for Curtis Foss here and really changing the dynamics of this match.
So what's happened here is Curtis, even though he was perfect through 5 and had a 44-pin lead, cannot shut Joe out. If he strikes out here, he strikes out for 224, and Joe still has 225 on the board if he strikes out.
Could you imagine that in 2 weeks we may have 2 bowlers with 44-pin leads in the middle of the match that may not, one didn't win and one might not? Yeah, and the shake of the head from Curtis Foss tells you that he is lost the groove here.
He's throwing the ball well, but it shows that what I always tell my Sweet Home High School kids is you can bowl well and not score well, and then you can bowl poorly and score pretty good. We're getting a pretty good example of that right now.
Great spare. That was a big spare, actually. I've had awesome 180 games and I've had terrible 240 games, so absolutely, that's so true.
Does that make it hard to be a coach when I mean, that belies logic in some ways?
Well, you know, it tells people that there's always a chance, no matter how poorly you're bowling. There's always, and you can see that right. This match is just a perfect example of all of that.
Final throw for Curtis Foss, and that's what he needed, a late strike to finish things off and post up a final score for Curtis Foss of 214. So even though he started with 5 straight strikes, was up 44 pins, it's in the hands and right arm of Joe Pohlman with a chance to win.
He has to strike here on this first one. There's no way around that. Strike, he's going to have it. He's still going to, a double, he needs a double to shut him out. It was still important. That strike in the 10th was very important for Curtis for count. So it starts with this first one here.
Yeah, didn't get it.
Oh.
Missed the pocket, leaves the 610 on the right-hand side, and that will give Curtis Foss a rather up and down roller coastery victory, right? As Jim said, it wasn't pretty. No one's going to ask how. They're just going to ask, did you win or not? And the answer to that for Curtis is yes. So Curtis Foss comes up with the winner for Joe Pohlman and moves on to match number 2. We'll talk to what is likely to be a frustrated Joe Pohlman when we come back and get you ready for that second match when Jim, Sue, myself, and Janelle return to Manor Lanes in Amherst. We're back right after this. The first family of Western New York bowling, the Pohlmans, are here to join us to wrap up the 214-200 win for Curtis Foss. I'm afraid to ask him how this match went, so I'll ask you, Mom Sandy. That was tough to watch, wasn't it?
It was. He had some problems coming out of the ball properly, and, you know, it happens, and what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It happens to us all.
Yeah, you should have listened to your mom better. She would have had good advice. Hey, Joe, that one, he's down, then he's up. He's got the chance to win it. Were you thinking he was going to pull it out?
Well, we were hoping, you know, we were hoping you'd get that double in the 10th and pull out a victory. But, you know, these are all good bowlers.
Yeah, so being down by almost 50 points, then having a chance to come back and win, you knew it was all riding on that first throw of the 10th.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been right, you know, if I would have won that match, because I certainly didn't bowl nearly as good as Curtis, but you got to throw your shots. You got to try to make them, and I actually thought I threw some good shots on this right lane. This lane 6 just destroyed me. And so it is what it is. You know, so now you're trying to do different things. You can't get out of the ball right, but I thought maybe I had a chance at the end there.
Yeah. Jim, I'm not sure who you want to give the money to here, but, you know, say Mom knows.
I've known Mom and Dad for a long time. They bowled in our UAW leagues for years. I mean, we don't even want to say how long ago that was. But we're going to give Joe a little bit of something to take with him, and maybe, you know, we have lessons here if you want to spend that. I'm
Ouch.
kidding, because I can.
So tomorrow's Mother's Day, so
That's right.
he's got a little money now.
There you go. There you go. So, all right, always fun to hang out with the Pohlmans. Always a pretty good chance they're all going to be back next month at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. If it's not you, it'll be your brother. We've got our second match coming up. Curtis Foss and Tyler Molina. It is next.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with Tyler Molina. We haven't seen you in a while. Only left-hander out here today. What's your challenge?
Challenge is to make sure that I could, you know, create my own shot quicker than they can establish theirs. So it should be fresh. The light's been on a little bit, but that usually doesn't affect it too much. Maybe 2 or 3 more boards open than the practice pair. So we'll see how that goes.
I think there's a unique strategy to, you know, we're in the second week now. It's been all right-handers going along, and they've seen a lot of changes going on in the lane. So it'll be interesting to talk about what happens on your side, but not a lot of left-handers qualified this week, so you must have bowled really great.
Yeah, I came out actually at 10 o'clock on Sunday, and I left something at home, so I had to go back home and come here for the 11:30 squad. So I was like, hopefully I make it in the first attempt here, because it's my only shot. So I was able to do well enough then.
Fantastic story. Well, good luck today, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Thank you.
Couple of power players for match number 2. Curtis Foss taking on Tyler Molina. Certainly Tyler, a familiar name to Beat the Champ fans, making his 9th appearance on the show. His overall record of 13 wins and just 4 losses ranks him tied for 3rd behind Mike Zarcone and Jeremy Zimmerman for most wins here on Beat the Champ. We haven't seen Tyler in a while. It's been since January up at the Rapids Bowling Center that we've seen Tyler. So, as he said, life gets in the way sometimes, and work and life and all kinds of other things. So, always good to have one of the most exciting bowlers we've ever had on this show. Tyler Molina gets it started with a strike.
I swear to God, he hits the pins as hard as
Both of these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, all kidding aside, Jim Russo is going to need to replace the pins, I think, after this one. By the way, when do you decide to replace the pins?
Well, we rest them. They're in for about 6-7 weeks, and then we take them out. We rest them. Believe it or not, they come
Massages,
back a little bit.
facials,
Yeah,
sauna treatments.
Send them out for a little bit of that. Chiropractors.
Wow, lucky slide for Curtis Foss.
Now, you do know how much a pin weighs, right?
I don't. Am I supposed to?
Does Sue know?
It's in houses.
If Sue doesn't know, then I feel a little better about me not knowing.
It's a weird number. Like
Pins weigh 3 pounds, 6 ounces.
Yeah, like.
Is there a specific reason for that?
Well, it's the ABC or USBC rule that they have to weigh at least.
Which makes sense. You don't want them being lesser or more. That would affect things.
They can be a little bit off that, right?
Within an ounce, one way or
the Tom Brady rule. There's a couple. There's a little leeway on either side.
Yeah, there is, and it used to be 3/4, the minimum, and now it's 3/6.
Does it actually make a significant difference in the ability for the pins to go down if they're heavier or lighter?
They seem to think so. Yeah.
Okay.
The lighter the pin, the more pin action, the more you know.
I did, by the way, just recently, a couple weeks ago, saw one of those How It's Made shows where they showed you how they make the bowling pins. It was really interesting.
Yeah. And you have to, if you want to make sure that the pin is within a certain weight, you have to actually pay more for the pins.
So like almost to have them certified?
Yeah, to assure that they're
So your
within
bathroom
that 1
scale
ounce.
is not an official certification here?
No.
Does anybody ever come in and certify the pins like
Yeah.
they used to certify
Oh
lanes?
yeah, once a month, when they do the lane certification, they come in, they take the pins out of the machine and they weigh them. Kenny Krieger used to do it on every lane. I think now you don't have to do it on every pair of lanes, but you do have to go through the center and just check them randomly and make sure that they're within USBC specs.
So that almost forces you to have to pay that amount to have them guaranteed to be that way.
Yeah, you can buy cheaper pins. You can buy pins that are refurbished, and put them in for maybe your moonlight bowling or something like that.
So my next question is, those leftover pins that were 3/4. I'm sure there's still some out there. Do they just become useless?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been quite a while since they went from 3/4 to 3/6. So I'm guessing most of the 3/4s are being used for target practice now and
youth league trophies.
Games, youth league trophy. Yeah, exactly.
Target practice.
Lamps.
All right, we've got nothing but strikes here through the first 3 frames, as you might have expected with these two guys. Curtis and Tyler are knocking everything down so far. Not just knocking them down, blowing them out of the back of the lanes. There's the Janelle writing nothing but X's on the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard.
They're making what is a kind of a challenging condition look kind of easy right at this point.
Unique approaches, though, with these two gentlemen. It seems like they, the name of the game is always going to be consistency. And as long as you do the same thing and repeat it and end up in the same place, you're okay. But these two add such twists to that. You know, this one, Tyler stands almost facing the left-hand wall and then ends up playing the lanes left to right. So it's almost like his body is going from facing left to pulling the ball right.
Right.
So it's almost like
so
you're putting those nuances that actually complicate matters.
Turns a little bit too much.
I mean, yeah, that's just, I mean, it opens up your margin for error, I'd have to believe.
Very interesting to see how the setup is there for Tyler. Everybody's perfect through 4.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
What does it mean to you guys to see Curtis bowling like this on the show, coming from how he started as a bowler?
He always likes to do tournaments and things, so I'm really proud of him for being here.
Yeah. And how does it feel for you being able to see him bowl and be part of our show?
I love it.
Oh, that's wonderful. So good luck to everyone today, and I hope you guys are pretty loud and cheer him on.
We will.
Jim's wife, Linda, her dad is the one that started Manor Lanes and Manor 2 Lanes, Sibby. So
Right.
This was your fate once you...
Wow. Boy, everything got crushed.
Wow.
Except the one pin that never moved.
The 8 pin stood right up there in defiance, didn't it?
I'll tell you what's interesting is the power bowlers like Tyler and Curtis do tend to leave some interesting leaves from these guys, don't they?
Sue, you're working my memory bank here, trying to figure out when did I start. And I did get into trouble because I remember I went to Burgard High School and we used to skip and go over to Bowladrome where Jimmy Karamazza, who is still active in bowling, and Jimmy Karamazza was the manager there, and that's when I first met him. And we used to skip school from Burgard and go over to Bowladrome, and that was on Kensington and Fillmore and Kensington.
Bowladrome?
Bowladrome.
I've never heard of it,
Oh,
other
well.
than the one in the fall.
Well, aren't we just a young little thing? Well, anyway, Jimmy was there, and we used to slide over there instead of going to
Bowladrome, huh?
school.
Instead of being in school, right?
Yeah.
All right, so now to the 8th frame here for Tyler Molina. And that's a big one. Big strike for Tyler. Don't forget, the top qualifier in our round of 24 every month here on Beat the Champ wins a television valued at $500 from Dirt Cheap TV. Next opportunity for that will come at the Tonawanda Bowling Center for the next series of Beat the Champ events.
Which will be next weekend.
Yes, next weekend. Jason Schwarzkopf, the General, won the TV here at Manor 2.
The General.
But winning the television and being the top qualifier in the round of 24 does not guarantee you a spot here on the TV show. Just means you got momentum that you've got to keep going and keep bowling well.
Right, but again, another incentive to come out and join the qualifiers, because you don't necessarily have to make the show in order to win.
9th frame, Tyler Molina. Missed the ball. Oh! Is that the luckiest strike you've ever seen?
Wow, we've seen quite a few strikes that were interesting here at Manor 2.
Did you have one of your employees back there blowing, trying to get those things to fall over?
No, that was Paul. Paul from Fredonia. You know, he had one of those lucky
That's
strikes.
right, yes.
You know, just to get his name on again.
Lucky strike at Lucky Lanes or here at Manor 2?
Lucky strike lanes.
So is that a sign that things are going to continue to go well for Tyler and he's going to win this match? Let's see what Curtis does. A little more of a traditional knock of the 10 pins down.
So with that hit, that put Tyler ahead 20 pins. which still is gonna, the 10th frame's gonna come into play here, but certainly putting Curtis at a disadvantage. And Curtis has made nothing but good shots, but he missed that spare.
Just the spare.
So both guys had that open in the 5th. Other than that, they've been pretty consistent. Lots of strikes from both guys. 7 of them from Tyler, 6 of them from Curtis. Make it 7 for Curtis. Two of the outstanding bowlers, 30 and under, Curtis Foss and Tyler Molina, putting on a show here at Manor 2 Lanes here on Beat the Champ. Hope you're enjoying watching these guys bowl.
Big strike here.
Got it.
Okay, count's really important here. A strike's gonna force Tyler to have to strike in the first frame. If he gets 9, there can be a possibility of a tie.
Which just means a little more bowling by these two guys,
But
right?
he absolutely wants to force Tyler for that first strike.
And the count is all 10. So Curtis Foss ends with 4 consecutive strikes and puts a 236 on the board for Tyler Molina to have to beat. He's working 3 straight strikes himself. Let's see what he can do to post the final score on the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. Whatever you did here, Russo, you're giving us a lot of excitement here through 1.5 shows already.
That's our intention.
There you go.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's right. You are Mr. Excitement,
That's
so
right.
we would
There you
expect
go.
nothing less. When are you going to tell us a little more about how you got the nickname?
Well, that goes back a long, long time too. Boy, you guys are really into history on
Oh,
this
we
show,
love
aren't
it.
you?
When you've got good
Going
history
back.
to talk about, we love it.
Well, long, long time
All right,
ago.
tell you what, hold on. Let's see how Tyler finishes
Yeah,
this
we
match.
wanna-
We got another match for you to tell us some
Yeah, let's
stories.
concentrate
Let's see
on
how
this.
Tyler finishes. We don't want to distract Tyler with any of your old stories. Big 10th frame.
Must strike.
There's one. Looking for his 14th overall Beat the Champ victory, which would move Tyler Molina into 3rd place overall in most Beat the Champ wins if he can get it.
No, that's all he needed was that first one by my
Oh,
math.
that's it. So that's it. It's a win. So Tyler Molina, despite that throw, didn't matter. It's going to be a victory for Tyler Molina in a epic battle between Curtis Foss to come up with the win. So it's Molina that will advance on to our final match of the day here against Chuck Jagodzinski. We'll talk to Curtis and get you ready for our 3rd match. When we return to Manor 2 Lanes in Amherst, it's another rollicking edition of Beat the Champ. It was an epic match between Curtis Foss and Tyler Molina. It's Molina that comes up with the 243 to 236 one. You threw 9 strikes. You had the one bad frame. A little frustrating to not be the winner there.
Yeah, it's really tough, especially with those back-to-back when I left the 9 pin and then I left the 8 pin the shot after that. But if I don't miss that 10 pin in the middle, and those are 11 more pins that I got. So
Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun. It was so fun, you should give him double the amount of money just for being entertaining.
Okay. We can take it out of your check.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Here you are, sir, a little consolation.
Thank you.
Everybody's reminding us that, you know, you've got to really make your spares So that was pretty important to you, wasn't it?
There you go. A little advice from the great Jim Russo. How about that, Curtis? That's worth nothing that's even in the envelope there. So, all right. So Jim's giving out advice. Curtis is knocking pins down. Unfortunately, he's finished, but it's going to be Molina and Jagodzinski for our final match. That should be a good one, too. Stick around. More Beat the Champ right after this.
I'm here with Chuck Jagodzinski at Beat the Champ. Chuck. We haven't seen you in a while. What's been going on?
Nothing much. I just didn't, like Tonawanda missed a cut by a mark and missing 5 pins at Jamestown, so I've been trying, just didn't make the cuts.
All right, well, finally. So where'd you play in the lane? Pretty deep?
Between the second and third arrow, no matter how much they dry up. So I started in I played 15 when I shot my 670, but I left 12 10 pins. So.
Wow. So did you find like lane 10 or the 10 board, second arrow to be a little bit out of bounds for you?
Right of 10. You can hit 10 and might get away with it. You go 9 board, wash out 2 8 10.
Yep, that's what I saw out there today. So I know how good you are. I know we're going to see a great match out of you today.
I hope so.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
24 combined Beat the Champ wins between Tyler Molina and Chuck Jagodzinski. This should be one outstanding match between two great bowlers and guys that have figured out how to win on this show, Sue. So, and contrasting styles as well, too. So everything sets up for this to be a really fun match as Molina comes off that battling through to beat Curtis Foss with the 243. And let's see what he can do here against Chuck Jagodzinski. Final match of the day here at Manor Lanes II. So Tyler will start things off for us on lane number 5.
We're going to see Tyler moving in some this match because he had an inconsistent ball reaction. Oh, he stayed right there. He moved his feet in, but he kept his target pretty close to the same.
14th appearance here on Beat the Champ for Chuck Jagodzinski, 50 years old from Lancaster, New York. He has appeared on the second most shows of anybody other than Mike Zarcone. Overall record of 10 wins and 9 losses, and not quite the start in frame 1 that Chuck was looking for.
Nope, his feet got a little fast, and that ball got off to the right on him into that OB part of the lane, the out of bounds. He needs to keep the ball right about 16, 17. It's almost going to look like he's throwing frozen ropes, like he's going to be so deep, but that's where the shim is, and that's going to be where his best ball reaction is.
So starting with an open, not what Chuck wanted to do, but it's early, and he's a great bowler, so he'll be able to bounce back from it. Let's see what he does.
Right in that spot.
And there you go. Pins are falling late, and it gets Chuck Jagodzinski a strike. And Jim, you couldn't ask for two different styles of bowlers here, could you?
No, and they're both a little unorthodox. They're
True.
Both, Chuck every now and then you're worried that he's going to fall over when he's out there at the line. I've had some bowlers, some spectators who have said, every time I see Chuck, he looks like he's sticking at the foul, like he's going to fall over. Don't worry about it. He's okay.
He's okay.
He's done it for years.
He's been doing it forever. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see who does the lane conditions favor here. A power bowler like Molina, or more of a tactician like Chuck Jagodzinski, who can adjust to the conditions better. And at the moment, 2 for 2, a pair of strikes for Tyler Molina. Does it affect either bowler, each other bowlers, based on the way they're bowling with the way the lane conditions are? Different areas of the lanes, does that have an effect on either's game?
No, they don't cross the same part of the lane. I mean, they're closer together than you would think, but they don't use each other's lane at all. So they don't affect each other. But I think it's become a shot-making situation now, especially for Tyler.
I think as long as Chuck stays with it and doesn't fluff it out there, as long as he stays with the shot, Chuck should be okay. Tyler definitely, I think, has the advantage because of the power that he's throwing with.
Yeah, so once again, Tyler blows every one of the pins through the back of the alley except for the 6th pin.
Right.
I know, he never leaves a pin on the deck. Except for the one standing.
There aren't too many of those either.
No.
Tyler Molina, as we mentioned, 26 years old from Cheektowaga, and one of our most successful Beat the Champ bowlers. Now 3rd behind Jeremy Zimmerman and Mike Zarcone in number of Beat the Champ wins, as the victory over Curtis Foss gave him his 14th. Spare in the 3rd frame for Tyler Molina. Meanwhile, Chuck Jagodzinski's 10 wins put him in the top 10 of our most successful bowlers here. The 50-year-old from Lancaster, full-time occupation, and works at the Attica Correctional Facility.
Great shot.
And it doesn't matter how fast it gets down the lanes as long as it knocks down 10 pins.
That's right. As long as it ends up in the 1-3 pocket.
2-time Bowler of the Year is Chuck Jagodzinski, as you look at Janelle Sabin of the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. 2016 Tri-City Masters champ, 2016 kickoff champ, 4 Buffalo City tournament titles. And he teamed up with his buddy Fran to win the 2018 doubles tournament. Fran is here cheering him on as well, too.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
That was a beauty.
All 10 go flying.
That was a beauty right there.
I feel like sometimes when you watch Tyler bowl, we need those old Batman bubbles. You know, pow, slam, bam, you know. Whatever verb you can come up with to indicate beating the you-know-what out of the pins there.
That's right. Maybe we should do that.
I like it. I think Andy and the guys in the crew can work some graphic magic here.
Pow, wow, wham. Good idea.
I got a few of those still left, you know, every once in a while. Plus, when you're around, you know, I did to raise my game here, Jim. Because you are Mr. Excitement.
I am Mr. Excitement.
All right, now you said you owed us a story there, too, about your previous occupation.
Strike by Tyler first.
You're just stalling.
No, back in the late 60s, there was a place called Ray Maddie's on Buffalo's east side, right across from Burnham's on Lathrop. And they used to have professional type wrestling matches back there, and I was one of the guys that closed them up.
You were The Rock?
I was sort of like The Rock, except I was a bad
Except
guy.
about.
Oh, you were a bad guy.
Oh, you were a bad
I was
guy.
a mean, nasty guy. Well, I had to be because I was so good looking back then. That what are you laughing at?
I do believe we have a picture, so we'll let the audience decide that for themselves.
Oh no, I had to do something, so I had to be extra mean. So
I find that hard to believe, getting to know you, that you could be mean.
Well, yeah, I could be. Yeah.
What was the wrestling world like back then?
It was very good to me, I can tell you.
I bet.
We did all right, and we may or may not have gotten paid, you know, kind of under the table, but. You know, friends of mine were working at McDonald's and Burger King and fast food restaurants for $1.25 an hour back then. And there you go. Chuck is putting those strikes up
with
there.
an 8-10 over
That is
there.
4 in a row since the open frame in the first for Chuck Jagodzinski. So did you wrestle anybody like famous? Anybody that a good wrestling fan would know the names there?
You know, people that lived on the east side and went to those wrestling matches every Saturday. Now, I don't know names like Hank Steele and Chet Ducat and Johnny the Flash Gordon. And you know, these were pretty famous guys on the east side of Buffalo back in the 60s.
There you go.
In the late 60s.
How about that? See, bet nobody knew there was this alter ego of the affable Jimmer as a wrestling bad guy named Mr. Excitement.
That's right. And then later on, we got onto a tour where we were opening for guys like Sergeant Slaughter and Dr. David Schultz and guys of that stature. So, and we used to open up for them and get the crowd in the mood. And,
I heard you once actually wrestled inside a prison.
I did. I wrestled I wrestled a bodybuilder inside a prison, and it was the only time when I became the good guy. Because I hit a couple of the guards, and the inmates loved it. They thought it was the greatest thing.
All right, while we're reminiscing about Jim Russo's previous wrestling life, we're watching both of these guys bowl great. That's 2 strikes in a row for Tyler. It is 5 in a row for Chuck, and you can see the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard has got a lot of high numbers there.
Great shot.
I don't want to say slow and steady, but it's, compared to Tyler, it's slow and steady, but it's getting the job done.
Absolutely. People keep asking me how long ago that was. Let me tell you how long ago that was. 2 hips ago. That was 1 torn meniscus ago. How about 2 heart attacks ago?
Boy, I'll tell you what. The more I've been around the bowlers and the more stories that you've heard, growing up in Buffalo in the 60s was a pretty interesting and at times entertaining place, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Certainly was.
When there was pretty much a bowling center on every corner of the east side.
Bowling center or a bar?
Oh, well, right.
Or a gin mill.
Or some combination of both of them. So.
Yeah.
All right. So Tyler is maybe feeling, I don't want to say feeling the heat here, but he's got to watch the way Chuck is bowling right now and know that there's not a lot of margin for error here in his final 3 frames.
Chuck is probably wishing he could have that first frame back.
Little light.
He had pins flying right and left, but not enough to knock that one down. So he'll need this good spare ball here for the 8th frame.
Well, he was already down 19 before he threw that shot, so this putting him down in the close to 30 pins. It's going to be, he's going to have to strike out from here to have any kind of chance.
Seeing a trend where we're winning 1, losing 1, winning 1, losing 1.
Well, that sometimes it has to do with the conditions, and a lot of times it has to do with a lineup of really good bowlers.
Yeah, and I think it might be the latter in this case, because I see these guys coming out and making the champ work a little bit harder to stay there.
Other than Gary Kenyon winning the first 2 last week, it's been win 1, lose 1. That's a big strike in the 9th frame for Tyler Molina. So now Chuck Jagodzinski, working 7 consecutive strikes, moves on over to the 9th frame. Last time we saw Chuck Jagodzinski on the show, it was in Batavia in December when he lost to Dana Vojtovic as part of Dana's streak of 11 in a row. And that 10-pin won't go down, so that ends the run for Chuck Jagodzinski and leaves a little bit more of the door a little bit wider open for Tyler.
Well, he needs a spare here, and he needs a spare in the 10th.
Spare in the 9th, thanks to that bowling pin ball, or the boxing glove ball, gets him the 9th frame spare. Let's see if he can throw the knockout punch here in the 10th frame. And that 7 goes down for a very big strike. And a great celebration from Chuck Jagodzinski. but Chuck Jagodzinski with the win. We'll talk to Chuck and Tyler and get you ready for next week's series of shows. We return to Manor Lanes II here on Beat the Champ. Final score of this one, Chuck Jagodzinski 247 to 215 for Tyler Molina. I know good bowlers try to block out whoever they're bowling against, but as you're watching Chuck rattle off 7 straight strikes, is that affecting how you're thinking about the match?
Not really. I was just, it was a little touchy. I moved inside in about the 4th or 5th frame and came up, left a 6 pin, and then it was just too, should have made an adjustment a little bit earlier, so.
Right. Well, always fun to watch you. That the match against Curtis was one of the best we've ever had, and knowing how you bowl, I'm sure we're going to get you back here pretty quickly.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
Yeah, Jim.
Well, I keep thinking that guys like to see me, but maybe not, because when I'm handing them the envelope, that means they're leaving.
But you're still handing them an envelope.
But we're still handing you an envelope.
Mixed reviews.
So there you go. You did well.
All right, Sue with the winner.
Chuck, a little extra celebrating out there. What was that all about?
I never beat a lefty on Beat the Champ before.
You're welcome.
So, no, thank you. 1 for 4.
Not just any lefty, though. It was Tyler.
Yeah, well, all the lefties I beat were good lefties. Pat Brigg, Tony Dolan, and Andy Riddick. They're all good lefties, so if I had a bad lefty in lawsuit, then I can kick myself in the butt.
All right, well, good luck to you going forward. Hopefully no more lefties.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, well, we're going to get a little more of Chuck. We'll see how he fares on next week's show. We'll get you set for our 3rd week here at Manor Lanes when we return on Beat the Champ. Well, that was a fun show. We had contrasting styles. We had a great match between 2 power bowlers in Curtis and Tyler. And then it's always good to watch Chuck Jagodzinski because he is just dialed in and locked in.
Yeah, and kind of funny.
And always entertaining.
But they did set the bar kind of high. And I don't know how we're going to beat that, but we're going to try because we've got our girl next week.
Yes, a little girl power, which I know you're excited about because Chuck Jagodzinski's first opponent on next week's show will be the first female bowler we've had here on Beat the Champ, Julie Selk. How excited are you for that?
I am, because we've bowled team together a couple events now, so I was kind of behind her in the top 24, trying to push her along, and she did everything right. So, yeah, I'm excited to watch her bowl.
Right, and I know you are really excited about this,
Yeah,
too.
how can you not be excited? It's our first female bowler.
All right, well, that's next week's show, so you're going to want to be there to see Julie Selk take on Chuck Jagodzinski. Match number 1, that's next week on Beat the Champ.